The car community is full of gatekeeping and it needs to stop. Now, let me just preface this entire video by saying that gatekeeping is potentially one of the most overused words that I have ever seen in my entire life. People throw that as a term out as if it's some sort of lucky charm in conversation all the time, and very rarely is it actually used correctly by definition. But unfortunately, gatekeeping by definition is something that is incredibly common in the car community, and it's something that we as a community need to fix. And let me also preface this by saying I am not coming with this with some sort of holier than thou attitude or something like that, because I know that I personally have 100% been guilty of gatekeeping, or maybe not being as welcoming to someone who doesn't understand some aspect of the car community as I should be. But that's something that I am constantly trying to work on, because people entering the car community, or people being interested in cars as a whole, is something that we as car enthusiasts should be happy about, is something that we should encourage. And pushing people away or pushing people out of the car community as a whole is really, really unfortunate, and is something that we need to do better, all of us as a community. So let's go ahead and talk about what I mean by this. I wasn't originally going to do this topic of video. Now, this is certainly something that I've noticed for a long time, and is something that I've wanted to talk about, but it isn't actually what I was going to do for today's video. However, I was on Reddit looking at a post as some inspiration for a car video, which was about people's bad automotive opinions, or automotive hot takes, basically. And I found a few key examples of what I would view as gatekeeping in the car community. Now, I'm not really calling out these people directly in the comments, because I don't think everyone even realizes that they're doing it. And just because these people stated an opinion online doesn't mean that they're out there basically enforcing their opinion at every sort of car event or gathering that they ever attend. But let me give you just a couple examples, two comments that I feel like coincide very well. The first one is, I'll register my hot take: if all your favorite cars are supercars, you are either 12 or aren't actually a car enthusiast. Now keep that comment in mind, followed by, more than half car people don't actually like cars. They like status, attention, and the feeling of power or prestige that a car can give them. Now, they have a subheading in their comment, which they title, "How to tell if someone is a real car enthusiast or an ego enthusiast." So they list, they don't care how any part of their car works, but know all the stats and why it's better than another car. They judge and rank people based on what cars that person owns or likes. They would rather go to a Cars and Coffee than go on a drive. They fetishize only low production, high value, or low mileage cars. They insist a newer model is by definition better than an older model. They are completely and irrationally loyal to one brand that they believe represents them and gives them the most prestige by association. There is no particular right way to enjoy the car hobby, but I've listed some of the wrong ways. Now, I find this comment really interesting, especially in association with the other one, because it's really contradictory. A lot of these points that they bring out directly conflict with each other, or their message behind the comment as a whole. They mention that someone is not a car enthusiast if they judge and rank people based on what cars that person owns or likes, but is that not essentially directly what they're doing in this comment? No, they didn't directly mention a brand or a specific car, but they created basically an entire category of people that would probably typically go toward one type of car over another, and are saying that they are not real car enthusiasts. That is such a clear example of gatekeeping to me, because I could be reading more into this than you guys might think is actually there, but I feel like this comment really connects or applies very well with the previous comment about people who only like supercars, or didn't even say only like, it said all their favorite cars or supercars are not real car enthusiasts. And I do understand there being some inherent frustration with people not enjoying cars for the same reason that you do. I do understand that because I like cars in a different way than a lot of people do. I can understand where this person's coming from with a lot of things because I personally always try to work on my own vehicles if it's something that I can handle, and if it's something that's on the cusp of what I think I can or can't handle, I try to give it my best shot if I can. I'm obsessed with the engineering behind what makes any given car work. That's part of what I enjoy about the cars that I buy and what makes me choose one car versus another. On the other hand, I don't worship the spec sheet, but I do very much appreciate what the spec sheet can tell me from an engineering appreciation standpoint. And I feel like that's fundamentally the problem here, because in a lot of ways, this can apply to so many different interests, hobbies, topics, just as a whole, not only in the car world. For instance, this camera that I'm filming on right now, I am someone who is a bit of a, I guess, self-proclaimed nerd about camera specs and you know, video and picture specifications that a certain camera can produce. It's what makes me interested in some cameras versus another one. This camera I'm filming on right now, for example, does not have particularly amazing specs, but it is easy and enjoyable to use. And that actually also does matter to me. It matters to a lot of people because there's plenty of people out there where the way that a camera looks or the way that a camera feels makes them fundamentally use or enjoy the experience completely differently, and that matters a lot more to them than the individual specifications that a certain camera might have. And it's the same way with the car world. I bought my Mustang as a GT because I wanted the Coyote V8. I like the performance potential. I love how it sounds. I love the performance that it has, even mostly stock. I also love how this car looks. And you know, I can't flaw people that choose to buy, instead of a Coyote V8 6-speed manual, for instance, one of the 3.7 liter V6 automatic Mustangs of this generation. Maybe they aren't interested in the performance. Maybe they just love how the car looks. And can I really fault them for that? I also love how the car looks. Is it really wrong that they don't appreciate the car for the performance that even the V6 can produce? Is that really a problem, or is that a problem with my viewpoint if I don't like that? In the same way, a lot of people on this subreddit thread were talking about how people that only like supercars, or maybe not even supercars, just cars that are typically expensive or have impressive specs, and that being what makes people interested in them, are not real car enthusiasts. But the problem is, a lot of people that own supercars love them because of the same reason that you love your car or the cars that you're interested in. They love the engineering side of things because by definition, supercars are supercars. The specs are generally very, very impressive, and the figures that they can pull in different things, such as, you know, 0 to 60, lateral G, top speed, are really genuinely impressive accomplishments. I get that you might not love that that is a reason why people choose certain cars, but is there really anything fundamentally wrong with that? And even if they don't care about the specs, even if they own or love supercars just because they're beautiful, they're very striking, amazing cars to look at in comparison to the average car that you typically see on the road, what's wrong with that? They're appreciating the same sort of thing that you appreciate, Maybe not the exact same sort of cars, maybe not for the exact same reason, but can we really fault people for being car enthusiasts for any given reason? I personally don't think that we should. And besides, we're human beings. Our interests generally change and evolve over time. I used to be really interested in supercars, and I still am. I still love supercars. It's still really exciting to see supercars out in the wild whenever I do. But I've come to have a lot more of an appreciation for a lot of other types of cars. Does that make me more of a car enthusiast? I don't think that fundamentally should be a thing. Because the fact of the matter is, I still love those supercars. I just happen to have other things that I also really love now. And herein lies the problem. Because so many people talk about how, the world would be a better place. Whether or not that's actually true, I don't know. But if more people were interested in cars, and they want more people within the car community. But when people aren't interested in the same sort of things within the category as them, they complain about it. They have issues with that. They see a lot of the younger generations like Gen Z and Gen Alpha being interested in cars, but not being interested in the same sort of cars as them, or not being interested in cars for the same reason. And they're pushing them away. They're calling them childish and not real car enthusiasts. But we need to make up our mind. What do we want? Whether or not you like it and whether or not you view their views of cars as childish or not very refined, that younger generation is the next generation of car enthusiasts. Without them, car enthusiasm as a whole will be a thing of the past. But instead, more than any other time in history, the car community is continuing to grow. Now, is some of that because cars are seen very much as a status symbol? Sure, but shouldn't we really appreciate the fact that there's more people in the car community as a whole? And should we not understand that liking cars as a status symbol or liking cars because of how they look is perhaps just an entryway into finding more appreciation for cars for a lot of other reasons, like the engineering side of things, like the history side of things, whatever it may be. The fact of the matter is, a lot of us, I think, need to take a step back, and I include myself in this as well, because I, like a lot of you out there, have seen people looking at cars as a status symbol instead of for the performance side of things or for what that car represents historically or whatever it may be, and have felt disappointed that that's the way that people tend to be leaning nowadays, or the direction that people that are just entering the car community seem to be leaning. But I think back to what made me interested in cars in the first place. And was it not the similar sort of thing? Maybe we didn't all start with supercars, but some of you guys that might be watching this video that are a little bit older than I am, did you see the Regal GNX smoking supercars at the time on the drag strip and not think that was absolutely amazing? People of my generation, a lot of us might have seen the Nissan GTR doing something similar to that in modern day, genuinely destroying a lot of much more expensive and prestigious, for lack of a better word, supercars at a much lower price, and that blew our minds. And from there, our interest in cars as a whole has blossomed. But even if it doesn't, guys, we all like the same thing. We all love cars, and that really should be the only thing that matters. Walling yourself off from other people or pushing people away or pushing them out of the car community as a whole because their interests don't align with yours is not going to fix anything. If we all took that approach, there would be no more car community in not very long. Should we not appreciate that with the onset of EVs, and that seeming like it's sort of the direction that things are going, even if maybe not as quickly as we originally thought, the fact that there is a car community still blossoming in general, I say this as someone who understands both sides of this. I am only 23 years old. I have not been in the car community for as long as a lot of you who may be watching this. I've loved cars since I was a child, but what was the thing that led me to love them in the first place? I love the car community, and I want the car community to continue accepting new people, to continue to evolve our own interests, to be more understanding, to be more accepting of people that might have different interests than ours. In fact, we might even be able to align our appreciation to understand theirs all the more. So with that, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for watching this video. Hopefully I articulated this point to the ability that I was hoping, and hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying in this video. And please feel free to share your comments on the topic in the comment section below. Just make sure to be respectful to everybody within the car community, myself included. We want to make this a accepting place as much as we possibly can. But I'm certainly interested to hear what you guys have to say about the topic and your viewpoint, because this is ultimately just one person's opinion. So thank you guys once again, and I will see you guys all in the next one.